Hi, I'm Dawson Church, the best-selling author of the book The Genie in Your Genes. I had an experience today of synchronicity, which I'd love to share with you. Synchronicity was defined by the great Austrian psychologist Carl Jung as an a-causal principle, two things happening side by side, not through cause and effect. And I've begun over the last year to actually look for synchronicities in my life and record them in my diary. One happened today, which is well worth sharing. I am at a conference right now at the Los Angeles Airport Marriott Hotel, and I'm only a short distance from the beach. The loveliest beach around here is Manhattan Beach. I discovered there was a bus that runs from near the hotel to Manhattan Beach. So I decided today to sneak out of the conference, tiptoe away, and see if I could sneak out undetected and go to the beach for the morning instead. So I got my beach bag ready. I walked over to the bus stop. I caught the bus. It was about a half-hour ride to Manhattan Beach. And I spent the day walking up and down the beach, just thinking to myself, reflecting on my life, giving thanks, people watching, doing all the things you do on the beach. Then I thought I better check my cell phone to see what time it was and check the bus schedule to catch the bus back to the hotel. So I looked in my beach bag for my cell phone and it wasn't there. So I then looked thoroughly through my beach bag and it wasn't there. I then checked the pocket of my bathing suit, my jacket, and it wasn't there either. I then looked through my beach bag for the third time. Then I turned my beach bag upside down, dumped everything out, and looked again. You know how it is when you look, your mind's thinking, okay, if I look again for the fifth time in the same place, maybe miraculously it'll manifest, and then slowly it starts to dawn on you, it's not gonna happen. So eventually my logical mind was willing to accept the fact my cell phone was not on my person. But then my logical mind said, well, probably I left it at the hotel. Then I realized, no, I didn't, because I telephoned my sister at the bus stop while waiting for the bus. So I knew I'd had my cell phone with me then. So that meant I'd lost it somewhere between that phone call at the bus stop and where I went to the end of my 3 or 4 mile walk on the beach. So I then did something, an energy technique I've used a few times before, which is a wonderful technique which I'd love to share with you for finding lost objects. I've used this in some pretty unusual circumstances, and it's had some wonderful results. I centered myself thoroughly in my heart. I did some heart coherence, quick coherence technique, breathing, relaxing my tongue. I really relaxed myself deeply and fully. And then when I felt as though I was truly in my heart, not in my head, I dropped down from my head into my heart, I then simply called the cell phone back to me. I felt this energy of appreciation going from my heart to the cell phone, and the cell phone back to me. Now, this wasn't a particularly valuable cell phone. This was an old cell phone, which I've had for a few years. It's kind of dinged up. It isn't the latest model by any manner of means. If anyone had found it, it wouldn't have been much value to them. So I wasn't sweating over the value of the cell phone. But I like the cell phone, and it works fine. I haven't bothered replacing it. So I just sent out this energy of love toward the cell phone and stayed in my heart, and then walked back to the bus stop and waited for the bus. I realized on the walk back, being in my heart, now again, not being frantic, not being in my head, not being stressed, I realized, well, think about it. If I made that phone call to my sister from the bus stop, and I discovered that I didn't have the cell phone later on in the trip, and it wasn't anywhere in between, it may be on the bus. Now, why would I leave my cell phone on the bus? Doesn't really make any sense, but maybe I did anyway. So when the bus pulled up, it was a different bus, and different physical bus, and I told the bus driver that I may have left my cell phone on the morning bus, and he then telephoned the bus depot and checked in with the management there, and they said no cell phone had been found on the bus. But I just kept staying in my heart and radiating that energy out toward the cell phone. Staying in my heart, not being stressed, giving thanks to my wonderful life, and not getting into the energy of agitation or what if or self-blame or any of those other kinds of things we often get sucked into at times like this. Oh, poor me. Oh, how could I have? I was so stupid. All that self-talk that can get going and that makes us even more stressed than the circumstances dictate. So The guy in the bus driver said that I should call back to the bus depot in about half an hour. And at that time, the bus I had taken out to the beach in the morning should have refueled and be back in service, and they could check with that driver. So I realized when I got back to the hotel, I'd have to call the bus driver, the bus company, and then make arrangements if they found the phone to get it back. So here's the synchronous part. The bus driver of the bus I was on dropped me off near the hotel at the bus stop. And when he dropped me off there, I happened to glance back, and what should be appearing down the road but the original bus that I'd come there on. The bus I was on, the driver said to the passengers, "We're no longer in service, we're going back to the depot. The next bus is now in service." So I waited at the bus stop. When that bus pulled up, I said to the driver, "Did anyone by any chance find a cell phone on the bus this morning?" And he handed me this. And I just laughed at myself. I felt so good and so happy and so relaxed because there no sweat, no anger, no self-talk, no self-criticism, no blame, no victimization, none of the above, just staying in your heart. Now, this isn't a magical technique that'll bring anything back to you. Maybe I would never have got the cell phone back. But either way, I stayed calm. I didn't stress myself. When I didn't stress myself, I didn't create the biochemistry of stress with high cortisol in my body. I didn't build the neural circuits of stress by sending signals through those stress neural pathways, making them bigger and bigger and bigger and better and better at conducting information. I didn't do any of the above. I didn't create a short-term rise in cortisol. I didn't create a long-term neurological shift in the wiring of my brain by acting stressed. So it's much less whether we get the cell phone back than it is taking care of ourselves, loving ourselves enough to stay in our heart and meet life's challenges from that place. So I'd invite you, whenever you've lost something, whenever you feel your stress level rising, do the simple exercise of feeling yourself drop into your heart, relaxing your tongue, breathing from your heart area, doing that quick coherence technique, and truly loving yourself enough to not get stressed, to care for yourself, to love yourself to the point where you don't create the biochemical and neurological circumstances of stress, disease, and aging. Love yourself enough to care for yourself that way, and then watch the synchronicities that appear. When you start to look for synchronicities, like now I began writing them down in my daily journal, when you start to look for them, notice them, what you perceive, what you look for, that is the neural network you grow. So as you're seeing those possibilities in your life, as you're passing that information of curiosity, of kindness, of love through your neural network, those neural circuits get bigger and bigger and bigger and more and more and more powerful. And other people who've done this exercise tell me that they go from having a few occasional synchronicities to synchronicities popping up all over their lives like this. So record them, celebrate them, witness them, rewire your brain around your highest possibilities, and you will find that more and more those highest possibilities show up in your life. Thank you so much.